Well, I love shooting in prime light or optimal light, and I think that when you get that incredible sky, the blue, dark blue sky, and the lights on the bridge in the city, it's magical. And so what I normally do is, as that light is approaching, so it's a lot easier when you shoot in the evening because you're moving into the prime or into that optimal light. You just start shooting. I get that way I kind of practice a little bit. I'm doing my stitching or whatever it is. And so by the time that light gets perfect, I've already sort of, run through it a little bit. So, and my eye is going to be fooled a little bit because I see a lot more detail in my eye. So the other thing too is, and I've noticed this when I was in Iceland, there was all these tourists. And of course the sun was up till 11 o'clock in the evening. But the buses all took off at about 7. They all went to dinner and whatever, and a handful of photographers were left, and they were all shooting all the perfect light. So a lot of people leave. They don't, even when I was shooting the pylons, I think I've got a late light scenario of that too. The photographers all left, and I was still shooting, and I got some of the best shots for the very last. So don't leave too soon. So, digital's pretty amazing. That sky is going to change color, and that's going to give you a different look as it is in the backdrop. I got a little bit of wispy clouds on that very last, and it just looked incredible. So I think the best advice I can give you is to just keep bracketing, like the ISO or whatever that, you don't have to do ISO, but at least bracketing to where you watching the camera, if you do HDR, and then that light's getting better and better and better in your camera. You're looking at the back of it going, oh my God, that looks incredible. And then eventually it gets too dark. So work into it. Now, early morning, which I'm not necessarily a morning person, is a lot harder because you get up in the dark and then you got to wait for it. And then it comes up. And then before you know it, it's gone. And so I like working into the evening. That's what at least I tell myself. Getting out of bed at 4 in the morning is a little bit more of a challenge. So my wife gets up at 4:30 every morning. I'm, snoozing it until 7. So that's her personality. You might be a morning person, but it goes fast. So I would say that in reality, you have maybe 30 minutes at the most. It may be more like about 15 minutes of that perfect light. So you better have your ducks in order before that time happens. Otherwise, you're going to be frustrated. So we're going to go in the field. You'll see me going through. I talk a little bit. I get this in killer shot at the very end. It is stitched so that I have the ability to make a monster print of that image of the Manhattan Bridge with the city in the background. So pretty exciting. I think if you get a chance, pick a scenario like that and go have fun, and you'll be thrilled at the results. Waiting for the light. All right, we scouted here earlier, and the light's not quite perfect yet, but we're coming back. This is the exact same spot. So I know my angle, I know what I want to do, and we're getting a little bit of clouds coming in. There's no clouds all day, but just now we're getting a little bit. So All right, so here we are on Manhattan Bridge. I've got my 17 tilt shift. I am bracketing ISO to give me 32-bit processing later. I have my nodal point, so I'm rotating my camera in the shifted position of the 17 millimeter. So I end up with 9 images total, 3 on the left, 3 in the middle, 3 on the right, and then I'll put it all together to make one final image. And I'll get about 120 megapixel capture. So I'm running 30-second exposures, which is 30-second exposure, which is a really long time, especially when you're bracketing ISO, but that water is going to be like glass. So I'm kind of, and I'm hoping this will be a black and white shot. We're going to move to color here in a little bit. Oh, this looks good over here. Look at this right here. You get that little bridge back in there. Let's just walk over here though. I need a scooter. All right, this is what it's all about. We're here in New York City. We're at the Manhattan Bridge, getting ready for prime perfect twilight. And I'm gonna do some bracketing my ISO, try to get some long exposures around 15 seconds. And I got my tilt shift lenses on. I'm gonna go from my 17 millimeter to my 24 millimeter. I want to get as much blue in the sky as I can. So I have to bracket ISO. Or actually, I don't have to bracket ISO on this. I could bracket my time but the water, I really want that water the same movement on each one. So that's how I bracket ISO, that's what it does. In fact, I could put the Cam Ranger on. I have time. Let's do it. That'll do it for me automatically. If I can get that to go down to here, that's what I want right there. Connect. Capture. So, just testing it out here. There it is, baby. Look at that. Okay, we're gonna bracket ISO. We went 3 stops, starting at the low point is gotta be 50. Okay, we're gonna start it. Whoops, there we go. Start my bracketing. So it's going to go 50, 100, 200. I might want to spread that out a little bit more. So you got the dark one, light one. Yeah.